Alright, oh wait, let me get. Hi again. I didn't react to this, but oh my god. I guess I'm back to hiding in the shadows of the dark side. That's great. But anyway, on this video, I'm reacting to what if Anakin Skywalker saved Mace Windu in the Revenge of the Sith. Save Mace Windu instead of joining the dark side. And on this video, I commented and said, I think it was, Skywalker, you have joined my respect. Let me think if I my comment. It was this one right here. This one. I said it yesterday. I said, you've done well, and you have my respect, Skywalker. So that's the only thing that's gonna happen. When I made that comment, that's what I think is gonna happen. After you cut off my arm, but then you saved me, and yeah, you gained my respect after cutting off my arm. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I know, long intro to this, but anyway, let's just start. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll have their channel in the description as always. And let's see what happens. This may well, I think this will give him the rank of master, what Skywalker always wanted.
What if Anakin Skywalker jumped after Mace Windu to save him after cutting off his arm in Revenge of the Sith? That's just
Alright, okay, let me just jump after you, okay.
story for today.
Alright.
Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins inside of the Chancellor's office, as Anakin Skywalker is running in to find Mace Windu pinning the Chancellor into a corner. Windu won the duel, and throughout the battle, Windu's strategy quickly shifted from arrest to execution.
I'll be back. This literally needs new batteries, so I'm gonna do that now. So you actually can see me, cause it's too damn dark. I'll be back. I'm back. Just put the R2 back on. There we go. Now you can see me better.
Palpatine had to die today, and it would be by his blade. Windu understood the consequences. He understood that killing Palpatine could mean the Jedi get exiled, or worse. But Windu could not live if he knew the Dark Lord was alive and controlling the galaxy any longer. But before he could do it, Skywalker got to his side, and Palpatine screamed out that Windu will die before blasting lightning right at him. Windu strained now, blocking the lightning with all of his efforts, pushing it back towards Sidious, as the Jedi and the Sith both were calling on Anakin to help. Palpatine yelled out that he can save the one that Anakin loves, and this only registered in the back of Windu's mind for now, as he pushed forward once more, forcing Sidious to stop the lightning, and in his now scarred and deformed state, he fell back in exhaustion. He was too weak. And now, Anakin saw the weak old man that was ready to be arrested. Windu just had to arrest him now, Anakin thought. Anakin didn't really have any dark side thoughts, but he still knew he may need Palpatine to keep Padme alive. So as Windu raised his blade for the kill, Anakin truly thought he was striking down a now harmless man, which Anakin believed was not the Jedi way. He couldn't let this happen. So as Windu swung downwards, Anakin ignited his blade, and he cut through Windu's arm without really thinking about it. The Jedi Master yelled in pain and surprise, and a moment later Sidious smiled, and he absolutely erupted with more lightning, screaming about his unlimited power. And Anakin realized what just happened. He rejuvenated Sidious's power by betraying the Jedi. And now Anakin was panicking even more. He didn't want this. Sidious tricked him, and so as Sidious threw Windu out of the open window, Anakin reached out with both hands, straining hard, but he was able to catch Windu, holding him in the air as his feet were skidding to the edge of the window. Sidious looked up in confusion. He couldn't believe what Anakin was doing. He angrily told Anakin to drop him, to let Windu die in his journey to the dark side. His journey to save Padme will be complete. But Anakin held on. He hadn't killed a Jedi before, and he would not start now. He is a Jedi. And after seeing Sidious erupt into power like this, Anakin was trusting his gut. No man of such raw power or violence could ever truly care about saving his wife. Anakin could see now that the entire time, Sidious was pretending to be Palpatine, pretending to be his friend. This is who he is, an evil, power-hungry monster. Sidious growled that Anakin must either drop Windu or suffer the same fate as him, and Anakin instead began pulling Windu towards him. So Sidious reached out, and he pulled a new lightsaber from one of the hidden statues, with intent to cut Anakin's hands off and keep him prisoner. But Anakin sensed this, and so he jumped out of the window, far into the rainy night, jumping at Windu, and he caught Mace Windu. Anakin held the weak Jedi as he descended countless levels of Coruscant, using the Force to slow his fall, until he was able to slide along the executive building roof and tumble to the ground in an abandoned alleyway.
I can imagine seeing Skywalker having Mace Windu in his arms. The fact I think Mace Windu is much taller than Skywalker, and then Skywalker is carrying Mace Windu like a kid. Right.
It was late in the night, so most people were not out any longer, and Anakin got under a small roof and set Windu down, asking if he was alright. Windu's muscles were still pulsing, or going through spasms from the intense lightning. His face was severely burned, and he was missing a hand. Obviously, he was not alright, but he was somehow worse mentally than physically. Windu managed to open his eyes and look up at Anakin, and Mace was angry. He was so close to ending the Sith, but Anakin stopped him. He didn't have the energy to do anything except curse Anakin out, asking what he was thinking. Anakin turned abruptly, and he told Windu he was doing his duty. He couldn't just sit and watch as Windu executed an unarmed man, he yelled. And now Windu, after centering the Force around him to take some of the pain away from his injuries, stood up and asked Anakin why it was different when he executed Dooku. Anakin felt his voice get caught in his throat. He didn't have an answer. Windu shouldn't even know about that. But Windu was slowly nodding his head, and he said he could feel it. Anakin was riddled with guilt, anger, confusion, and death after returning from killing Dooku. If it was truly a natural kill in battle, then Anakin would not have had those feelings. And Mace continued on, saying that he gets it now. Palpatine was working to turn him, and killing Dooku showed Palpatine that Anakin was just like him. And now Anakin turned with frustration boiling up, and he exclaimed that he is not a Sith. He is nothing like Sidious. He was merely manipulated by him. And now Windu remembered what Palpatine said, that he has the power to save the one that Anakin loves. And Windu asked Anakin if it was Padme. When Anakin didn't answer, Windu knew the truth. And he also knew the time for bickering was over. It was time to move on and figure out what Sidious was planning. Windu still sensed a plot to destroy the Jedi, and he looked down at his hand, where his hand used to be, and knew he wouldn't be much use in a fight for a little while. He was able to find his lightsaber in a nearby alley, and he and Anakin would begin moving towards the Jedi Temple, when suddenly they felt something in the Force. A wave of death just covered the Force, like a tidal wave crashing into a city. It was overwhelming for a moment, as Darth Sidious executed Order 66 without Anakin. Thousands of Jedi were suddenly dead in a handful of seconds, as clone troopers turned on their Jedi commanders, whether they were in battle.
No, listen to me. I think it's gonna be from 2 different channels. But this is probably, I think, part 1 of Anakin fighting against the Empire. But I think that's from from another channel. I think PPSW made that video, and this is part 1 of that video, I think. But it kind of adds up. We have Anakin betraying Palpatine. Palpatine still executes Order 66. Makes the Republic into an empire. But you still have Anakin Skywalker, which is I think 20 or 30 years old, so... Yeah, I see Anakin fighting against the Empire. That's if the Empire doesn't get defeated in this video. But yeah.
In the air, on a stealth mission, it didn't matter. The clones shot all the Jedi down in cold blood.
Now what?
Many more were now on the run, trying to escape this sudden turn, but very
a bunch of pausing, and oh my god. Let's continue for the 40th time, I think, now.
You in the galaxy would survive. And as Windu and Skywalker felt this, they began running towards the Jedi Temple, using the Force to enhance their speed and their jumps into the air, feeling like something was about to happen. And inside of the temple, things were rather normal, though the most powerful masters like Shaak Ti or Syndrelic did feel this dark wave. They were meditating on it, trying to find out what was going on. A few of the temple guards noticed that the 501st clones were forming a perimeter around the temple. And they went to tell the Jedi about this, but then it happened. 2 Republic Venators executed an orbital bombardment on the Jedi Temple. The Great Temple erupted, and thousands of members inside of it were gone in seconds. Without Anakin, Sidious had no need to send the clones or Anakin into the temple. If Anakin had joined him, then Sidious would have sent Anakin in order to officially turn to the dark side and ensure that Padme would never get with him after Anakin killed the Jedi. It was all part of the plan, but without Anakin, he could simply bomb the temple. Anakin and Windu were close to the temple when it happened, and the huge explosions sent them flying backwards, back into the streets, and they both were knocked unconscious. Hundreds of 501st clones stood in their newly formed perimeter, far enough away from the temple, as the bombardment continued for a bit longer, until the temple was nothing but rubble. The clones waited and waited, until any survivors, no matter how old, no matter how injured, began stumbling out of the wreckage. Shaak Ti survived, but was horribly injured, and she limped out of the temple with a group of younglings that also barely survived, only for all of them to be immediately gunned down. This happened with every survivor, and soon the clones stopped firing, as there were no more survivors. Fire teams were keeping the exploded temple fires at bay, and the temple was the only building affected by the bombardment. Sidious also had squads spread all throughout the streets, searching for Windu and Skywalker. They were ordered to shoot on sight. Sidious decided that Anakin was too weak to join him, and he would do this without him. When Anakin and Windu did finally wake up from the explosion, they were in an underground tunnel or sewer system. The impact of the explosion sent them through an access point to this underground area, and the clones would not be finding them here. Anakin's hands were shaking. This was all his fault. He was panicking, beginning to freak out, and Windu forced himself to go up to Anakin and tell him that this is Sidious's fault, not his. The Sith have had this plan for decades, and now they may be the only Jedi left. As much as Windu wanted to be angry at Anakin, that would not get them anywhere. No. Their mission now had to be to defeat the Sith and find a way to preserve the Order and the Republic. So Anakin gathered himself, trying to calm himself, and they moved through the tunnel together until they came upon Padme's apartment building. Anakin said she may have a way to get them out of here, and so they turned their outer robes inside out to make them look more like civilians, and they snuck up through the building, taking the elevators. When the doors opened at the top, a squad of 10 clones turned, pointing their blasters, and told the Jedi to surrender. They were waiting for them, but Windu reached out and quickly pushed all of them over the ledge, as Padme ran over to Anakin for an embrace, and Windu asked if she had a way out of here. Padme said yes, the Naboo security are loyal to the Jedi, and they have a ship waiting for any survivors, but none have made it there so far. So together, the 3 of them would make their way through Coruscant, fighting off clone squads in the air until they got to the landing platform, where the ship was fueled and ready. Anakin got into the pilot seat, and they were able to fly out into space, barely escaping clone gunships chasing behind them, and they jumped to hyperspace just in time, as the clones circled back and reported that the Jedi have escaped. Once in space, Windu activated a secure Jedi frequency, hoping to locate any survivors, and Skywalker and Windu would receive their first good news.
Oh yeah, because before anything else, Obi-Wan was on, well, Yoda was on Kashyyyk during the time, and Obi-Wan was on Utapau, so, yeah, those two should be still alive.
Of the entire night, they made contact with Bail Organa, who currently had Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda on board his ship. The Grandmaster and Anakin's master survived. Anakin breathed a genuine sigh of relief, and they all agreed to meet on Polis Massa, a medical facility that Bail was sure were extremely loyal to him and to the Jedi, even after this great disaster. And so as the 4 Jedi would meet up on Polis Massa, while Padme and Bail would also find each other. The 2 of them were taking great risks, and Padme was already spotted escaping with the Jedi. She would be arrested or killed without question. The Jedi were going to need to take down Sidious, or the entire galaxy would suffer for years to come.
Yep.
And in one of the surgery rooms, Windu was undergoing surgery to replace his hand that Anakin cut off when Yoda and Kenobi entered. Obi-Wan gave Anakin a hug, saying he is extremely relieved to see him alright, and Yoda greeted Windu before all Jedi asked what they knew. Windu said that he was battling Palpatine. He pushed Palpatine to the window and had him at his mercy, but Windu looked to Anakin before continuing, and he said that Palpatine caught him off guard with lightning before slicing off his hand and throwing him out of the window to die. Windu said that without Anakin, he wouldn't still be alive. Anakin was in shock. Windu just lied for him, and Windu understood right now they didn't need any conflict between each other. Sidious was their only enemy, so he lied. For now. And the four of them would discuss what they must do next, saying Sidious will likely be expecting them to return. And suddenly Padme would knock on the door, turning on the holonet to reveal Chancellor Palpatine, now Emperor Palpatine, speaking to the Senate, proclaiming that the Jedi tried to kill him and take over, and now he is declaring that the Republic will become the first galactic empire. The people cheered. The four Jedi looked on in sadness, with a touch of anger, looking upon the man that led them through the war, all for his own gain. It was horrible, and the Jedi knew they had to act on it. Windu had his new hand finished up, and he was opening and closing his fist, testing it out, unsure how he felt about it. He reached out to use the Force and grab his lightsaber, but the blade just kind of shifted before flying around him. He wasn't used to this at all. Yoda turned to Anakin, and he told the young Jedi to train Windu on how to use the new hand. And when he's ready, then they will confront Sidious. The idea of Anakin training Windu sounded strange to everyone, but Yoda was right. Anakin mastered having a...
Yeah, that's so ironic. What Yeah, like that the student is now the master, and the master now his student. From a certain point of view. But yeah.
Robotic hand, and he could teach Windu.
Oh, or since Ahsoka left the Jedi Order, Mace Windu is technically like Skywalker's temporary Padawan for the time being, even though Mace Windu is like much older than Skywalker, but yeah. Mace Windu is like Skywalker's temporary Padawan for the time being.
So the two of them would move to an empty medical center, and they would ignite their lightsabers on the training setting. Anakin would first thank Windu for lying for him, and Windu said he had no choice. If they were going to defeat Sidious, they cannot be fighting themselves, and Anakin would begin teaching Windu about the new hand. Anakin had to kind of teach himself back at the beginning of the war, to get used to this when Dooku cut his hand off on Geonosis, and he'd hated it for a while. The new hand will always be on a tiny delay from your mind, Anakin told Windu. When the brain sends a signal to the new hand, it takes an extra few milliseconds to respond, and those extra milliseconds can cost life or death. The strength of the new hand was also much harder to get used to. The two of them would spend hours here, with Windu getting pretty easily beaten by Anakin in training drills, as Windu was still getting used to this. But as the hours went by, Windu got more and more used to it until it felt normal. The two of them needed this time together, as in between duels and training drills, they aired out some grievances between them. Anakin ranted about wanting to be a master. Windu went on about Anakin killing Dooku, marrying Padme, and ultimately the two of them realized they needed this. They hadn't trusted each other for years, but now perhaps they could work together. As they continued, Windu also promised Anakin that when Padme goes into labor, the Jedi will be there with her to provide her with any calmness or healing that they are able to provide. Anakin needed to hear this. It helped calm him, and soon the four Jedi were ready for their final mission of the war: defeat Darth Sidious. They would take Bail Organa's ship back to Coruscant, and once in the atmosphere, Republic security would ask why Bail was here, and if he was in contact with Padme or the Jedi. Bail simply said he was returning to the planet, so he could be here as the Empire was put together. And because he was a senator with no suspicions against him, Bail was able to land in the Senate hangar. He left with his aides, and the four Jedi waited until nighttime to leave the ship, sneaking through the Senate, finally entering the room where Sidious was sitting, as he put together the Empire, and he was not alone. On one side of Sidious stood a temple guard, now the Grand Inquisitor, and on the other side stood a squad of clones and red guards. The guards and clones readied their weapons upon seeing the Jedi, only to be thrown into a wall by Yoda, as they were all immediately knocked out or killed. So Sidious stood, and he, along with the Inquisitor, ignited his blade and told the Jedi they made a mistake coming here. And with an eerie smile, he opened the ceiling up to reveal the Senate chambers where hundreds of clones stood in pods above them, blasters at the ready. This was a trap. Sidious was hoping they would return. Windu and Skywalker would act first, as they broke away from Obi-Wan and Yoda, their sabers igniting in unison as they rushed forward at Sidious and the Inquisitor. Windu, his purple blade humming with a renewed life, ran at the Dark Lord, as Anakin, driven by the need to redeem his great mistake, leapt toward the Inquisitor, his blue saber slashing through the air with aggression. The two Jedi engaged their enemies, the chamber filling with the clash of lightsabers, as the duel began.
So I'm guessing the clones are just bystanders for the time being, just watching the show. Until Palpatine gives the order to shoot them, I'm guessing. Or no. Because if Mace is fighting Palpatine, and they're surrounded by clones on all sides, there's a good chance that the clones could kill Palpatine. So I guess they're just bystanders for the time being.
Obi-Wan and Yoda, meanwhile, were advancing up towards the Senate pods, defending Anakin and Mace from the clone troopers' heavy fire. Obi-Wan deflected.
Oh, they're all shooting at them, okay. I thought they would want to be shooting at them. Well, Mace and Skywalker. For risk of killing the Emperor.
Barrage of blaster fire, before leaping up into pod after pod to cut down clones. He felt bad, but he knew it had to be done. Yoda flipped and twirled through the air, sending clones crashing into the walls or flying out of their pods, out of the Senate chambers with the Force. Together, they formed a great defense, forcing the clones to focus on them, giving Windu and Anakin the space they needed to focus on Sidious and the Inquisitor. The room below was alive with chaos. Blaster bolts were ricocheting off the walls, and the hum and the clash of the lightsabers echoed across the Senate chamber. Windu's attacks were relentless, his mastery of the pod allowing him to channel Sidious's energy back at him. Their battle was a storm of power, and Anakin's fight with the Inquisitor was brutal, his strikes heavy, unrelenting, as he pushed his enemy back with force. And amidst the chaos, Obi-Wan and Yoda held their ground, protecting the others from the relentless onslaught of the clones. Windu spun away from Sidious, and he looked to Anakin, who was now able to stab the Inquisitor, killing him, then joining Windu in his duel, and together, they were quickly able to overwhelm Sidious, their combined strength too much for the Sith Lord to withstand, as Windu used his new hand to punch Sidious hard in the face. Sidious stumbled, unleashing a wave of lightning, and Windu absorbed it with his lightsaber, redirecting the energy back at the Dark Lord. As Sidious faltered, Anakin moved towards Sidious, as Windu yelled out that Anakin is the Chosen One, and he must finish this. It is his destiny. So with a final strike, Anakin struck down the Sith Lord, and a moment later, the two of them would jump up to help Obi-Wan and Yoda from the clone onslaught, just before they were overwhelmed. The four Jedi fought back, and were able to escape through the halls, boarding Bail Organa's ship, as it flew away from heavy blaster fire. They would go back to Polis Massa, and the stress of Padme's birth was eating Anakin up again. But as they ran into the facility, Anakin was filled with shock. Padme was in a bed, holding a child in each arm, and she smiled at Anakin as he ran up and hugged her. This was a happy moment. Padme, Anakin, the twins, and the other three Jedi would need to go into hiding. They were wanted for assassinating the Emperor, and it would be a long time until the galaxy looked at this moment as a win for the galaxy. Mas Amedda would step in as the Emperor, but he needed the Senate to help much more than Palpatine would have, and so senators like Mon Mothma and other members of the delegation that wanted Palpatine out of office would work quietly in the Senate to restore this empire back to the Republic that it was meant to be. Padme and the Jedi would hide on the small island of Pabu, taking small jobs in the town, leaving their Jedi lives behind as the galaxy recovered. Anakin would work as a local mechanic, Obi-Wan as a teacher about galactic history, Windu would be a fisherman, and Yoda would be a counselor. Ahsoka, Rex, and the Bad Batch would eventually find their way.
Why did this fit? Why do these glasses fit Mace Windu so much? It's like these type of glasses fit him. Imagine Mace Windu in Star Wars fighting with these days. with the style glasses or glasses in general.
Here, and also help out in the community. Padme and Anakin would raise the twins as regular children, at least for now, and over time, the Jedi would wait until they could return to the galaxy, while the galaxy rebuilt and found itself after the era of Palpatine, slowly making progress, as the Empire would soon become a republic once more, with Mon Mothma at the center of all of it. Anakin would spend his days mentally coming to grips with what he did. He still felt responsible for all the lives of the Jedi that Palpatine and the clones ended. If he didn't cut off Windu's hand, none of this would have happened. But Windu, Obi-Wan, and Yoda would learn the truth, and they would help Anakin with this, teaching him that what he did was not fully his fault. Yes, he shouldn't have done it, but over the years, the decades, Palpatine manipulated him. And after cutting down Windu, Anakin very easily could have fallen into the dark side. But he chose the light, and that was all that mattered now. Nothing could be done about what has been done with all the Jedi. And so, Anakin was able to recover mentally over time.
Alright, what about Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul? What happened to those two? Did Ahsoka, did anything in canon, left and all that? Or did Anakin and Obi-Wan went out to find Ahsoka? Or did Ahsoka, came to decide to come and find Anakin and Obi-Wan instead? But yeah, what happened to Ahsoka during this time?
Helping raise his children and embracing this new life. And folks, that is our story for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. Something I really wanted to do was just the idea of Anakin kind of teaching Windu with the new mechanical hand. I thought that was a fun concept. And just from that concept, I thought, okay, how can that happen? Anakin jumps after Windu. That's our story for today. It's just kind of a focus on, Anakin cutting down Windu, but not really being in the dark side, just more so doing it because he thought Windu was wrong. But after seeing Palpatine go full unlimited power, he's like, oh, my bad. Jumps after Windu. That's the story I wanted to just really go into today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought. I appreciate you watching, of course. And yeah, let me know what you want to see next. And I'll see you in the next video.
Yep. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. But yeah, why isn't it there? I would like to see, towards the end, you see, Ahsoka finding Obi-Wan and Anakin, or Anakin goes out and finds Ahsoka after all this happens. But yeah, again, what happened to Ahsoka Tano after that? But anyway, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll have the Star Wars Galaxies channel in the description, and check out the original video. And now I'm gonna react to this now. So bye. And I'll be back in about a couple seconds. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And check out my reaction playlist to see more of my reactions too. Bye.